We are here today with Steph of Woollen Wytch. She is the yarn dyer, knitter, crafter, creator, and podcast host. And I'm so happy to be here with you today. And thank you so much for saying yes to this
Thank you for
conversation.
inviting me. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we met through Kat of Heather and Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
we've chatted a little bit like in this setting on one of Kat's videos, and I've been wanting to chat with you, so I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
Hey, so I always like to ask people when we start out, like to tell me a little bit where you're located, like the geography, the climate, everything, and yeah, just tell me a little bit about your
Yeah.
place.
So I am based in the centre of Bristol. So yeah, as you can imagine, city. So it's very busy, lots of cars. But in between patches, there's really nice sort of little suburban parkland and woodland, which I'm quite lucky to live right by as well. So
Very nice. And I
yeah.
think that Bristol has a really cool like art scene maybe.
Yeah. There's certainly quite an artsy vibe to the city. I mean, we have like the graffiti festival and stuff every year, usually, and stuff as well. Yeah.
Very nice. And when does that usually take place?
Oh God, it's usually around June time, I want to say, and they tend to take over just one section of Bristol, and they usually get like artists from across the world in, so it's usually quite interesting.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe 2021 there'll be something or
I don't know. I hope so. At least like get someone into, because they take over not just like panels that they put up for the weekend and stuff. They also paint a load of the shops and stuff down through the streets and things like that. So hopefully at least they can do that. Like, be such a shame.
very nice, very nice. Well, hopefully, because I feel like that's a really, I don't know, inspiring and exciting moment for the city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm drinking here a cup of tea, but I've actually got like some loose leaves in here.
They're going the
I
wrong
went
way.
down a little bit the wrong way. But we're good. We're good. Okay, so living in this like creative city and everything, tell me like how, I don't know if this is related at all, but how did you get into fiber art and working with the yarn?
Yeah. So I went to university in Bristol, and one of the projects was called Generations Lost. And we could like explore that meaning however we wanted, and I took that to mean like the skills and techniques and things that are getting lost down through generations. And one of those for me personally was knitting at the time, and I still really struggled back then with knitting, but instead I started learning and taught myself to spin my own yarn, and so that's how I kind of got into fiber and things through that way.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. That's awesome. Thing that I have not yet tried spinning, but I think that
Mm.
it really gives you an appreciation of how the fiber works together and how.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's different. A lot of people come to spinning through knitting, but I've gone the other direction. So I've gotten into knitting from spinning. So it's quite interesting.
And do you do any like weaving or crochet or anything else with the fiber?
No, I kind of took up knitting because I had so much yarn that I had to use. I know like hand spun yarn's quite popular with like weavers and things, but I've never tried it myself. It's something I'd like to try at some point, I think.
Very nice. And your hand spun, like I actually really don't know a lot about spinning, but I know that it's difficult maybe to get like a uniform yarn, and then that's why like the art yarn is really popular.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It takes a lot of practice. I mean, to start off with, I was really into that art yarn because you didn't have to worry. You just spin, and if it goes thick and thin, amazing. You just get so much texture from it, especially when you use it into things as well. But I think now that I've got the experience a bit more, I can keep a little bit sort of more uniformed to what the yarn weight I want.
Very cool. Yeah, like to know like the project that you want to make and actually spin the yarn for that. And that sounds really magical.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I love like the sheep to knitted item like process, you know?
Yeah, it's so much work that goes into it. You kind of don't realize it until you have to try it yourself.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dyeing. So you have been
Yeah.
dyeing your yarn. So when did that start?
Yeah. So like since university, I mean that was like years ago now. But since then I kind of carried on spinning. And I always bought my own fibre, but a few years ago I bought just plain white sort of merino fibre, and I decided to give dyeing a go. And then from that, Woollen Wytch has kind of come in, and I've started just dyeing yarn straight away as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must also be like a challenging process to figure out. Like, I don't know, how was it in the beginning when you were dyeing? Was it
Oh,
easy,
I
difficult?
felted everything. Literally, I felted everything. I had to like pull it apart and like recard the fibre and stuff like that to get the fibres apart. It was a nightmare, but definitely took a lot of trying and trials and errors with it.
Yeah, but you understanding how to then spin the fiber and stuff, like you could kind of work with that and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
very cool, very cool. So yeah, so you have your own like indie yarn dye company, which is Woollen Wytch,
Mhm.
and you also make beautiful stitch markers like made out of wood, right?
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. And now you have such a cool offering, which I think is really fun. Your like monthly mystery subscription box. So maybe you could
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that because I think that's a really fun idea.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people like different designs for the stitch markers and things like that, and they're quite collectible almost in a way. And I really like the idea of working together a design of a stitch marker and then having the yarn or the project match as well. And so I thought about doing a monthly one, and then that gives me a chance to experiment with different colours and then different themes as well. So every month we have a different theme. So for the month of March, it's Ostara and the moon gazing hares and stuff, sort of Easter themed.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the painting that you do because you do paintings every month.
Yeah, yeah. I like to have a coloured painting at the start of the month. There's around the theme as well.
Yeah. Wow. So if people wanted to get their subscription box, so now we're in the beginning of March, like how does that work? Like if you wanted to sign up for the March subscription box, because I think it's really cool, until when can you sign up or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's if you want to sign up for like say it's March, the like closing date for that one is the 8th of March, and then from then they're mailed out like the week after. So it's just and then if you want to order it for later on, so after the 8th of March, you'll then be going into the April box.
Very cool, very
Yeah.
cool. And that comes with like one skein of yarn, two skein of yarn, and the stitch
Yeah,
mark.
so it's like a fully customizable box. So you can have either just a stitch marker, or you have the option of adding in yarn as well. So you can either have 20 grams or 100 grams in either 4-ply or a DK weight yarn. So it's nice and it's suited for different budgets, which is what I wanted to offer.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the idea of like a surprise, like a mystery type
Yeah.
thing, and the excitement of waiting for it. So that's really cool. And I love that you have the like the scalable options, you know, you can just go for a little bit or more. I love that. Very, very cool.
Yeah,
And
I'm all for like treating yourself every month. Like you kind of have to sometimes just to cheer yourself up every month.
you know, I feel like I have a hard time with that as well, like spending money on things
Yeah.
just pure joy. But in the end, like It's worth it. One, because you're supporting other people, which I think is awesome. You are doing something nice for yourself, and it's going to bring you so many hours of joy. Like, even just like the excitement of waiting for it.
Yeah, and opening it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually watching in your previous podcast episode, you were talking about the mystery kits that Jess at Ginger Twist Studio
Yeah.
organizes. And I love that idea. I think that's such a fun, exciting thing to
Yeah,
get.
like no idea. You just open it up and you're like, oh yes, okay, what can I do with this? Like, I don't know what it is. It just sort of sparks something, I think sometimes.
Creativity. Yeah,
Mm.
I love that idea of like creative constraints, kind of, where you have maybe something that you want to inspire. I don't know. Right now, I'm taking part in this like knitting design challenge where we get 3 words, and off those words, we have to make a design. And I just think it's such a fun idea because you have to like fit in that
Yeah, I
box.
love those so much more. Like sometimes you have too many options and suddenly your mind goes blank and you can't think of anything. And
Mhm.
like for me, I always have to like with deadlines and things as well, like I have to have a deadline, otherwise I get nothing done.
Hmm. Very cool. I love that. So tell me, what yarn bases do you work with? So you said you have DK, 4-ply, and it help you in like every update, because you do updates maybe every 2 months, I think you said
Yeah, every
now.
2 months at the moment, yeah. So at the moment it's primarily 4-ply and DK weight. I have some super chunky left, but once that's gone, it's gone because I can't get any more. I want to expand in some different like textures and things. So I'd really like to start working with like Suri Cloud and like the alpaca and stuff. That's sort of the next on the horizon sort of thing.
Exciting. Very
Mm.
nice. And I like that you have, I think DK is a great weight. It's not too thick, not too thin. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
perfect. I'm doing a DK project now, and I normally knit with like fingering or sport, but working with the DK, it's just so much faster.
Yeah, I haven't tried any yet. My next sort of thing is to try double knit socks. I haven't tried any of those, but I know everyone's always saying how quick they like knit up.
And how squishy they are.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
Yeah, for sure. Very nice. So what are you knitting on these days?
So I am currently knitting the Juiced #2 sweater.
Pattern?
No, I can't remember the pattern author name at the moment. It's not off the top of my head. But I'm knitting it for my partner at the moment. It's taking me a while because he likes his clothes extra large. So it's, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the current big project anyway.
it's good though. And if it's so is it just like a plain sweater
Yeah,
or?
it's just a plain sweater, nice like roll neck, slightly higher neck.
Mhm. Oh,
Just
cool.
yeah, something for him to have a faff about in, I guess. Because I've only knitted one sweater before that, so he was like his project is kind of my test project before I can make something for myself, I think.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And have you separated? Is it top down?
Yeah, top down. So I've separated for the arms. I'm like halfway through the body at the moment. It's a crop. It's at the moment it's a crop top for him, but I don't think he'd appreciate that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Are you having him try it on as you go?
yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah,
Right? It's kind of difficult when you're like, just try this on one more time.
yeah, and he's always got his hoodies on. I'm like, no, you got to take your hoodie off before you can try the jumper on. He's like, oh God, why?
Don't make me change. Yeah. Yeah. I think when you're knitting something for yourself, like, I don't know, if I have it on the long enough needles, or cable, I'm always trying it on, because
Mm.
even if you just knit like that much more,
Yeah, yeah.
that is
It's like, is
just
it done yet? Oh no.
a little bit more. Very nice.
Mm.
So, what else? I wanted to ask you about your podcasting journey. So, how long have you been doing your podcast, and how did that start?
Ooh, not long. I think I've only like 6 episodes, so I do episode a month, just because I think otherwise I wouldn't have much to talk about. um, I originally started doing it, so before all of the yarn stuff, I used to do like illustration. I used to sell like stickers and things like that. I used to have a bit of an art blog beforehand, so I used to do little videos and stuff for that. So I've always kind of been making YouTube videos. And then I found the knitting community and I realized what knitting podcasts and stuff were. And I kind of felt like I needed to share my journey with everyone as well.
Absolutely. I think it's a really fun place to be. And there's just so many, I don't know, I feel like the knitting community is really warm and welcoming.
So welcoming. Yeah, I think I've met so many people through it already. And yeah, I don't know, I haven't come across a community that's been this welcoming before.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay. And so it's been you've been doing this for like half a year now, and it's
Yeah, I think probably about that, yeah.
and you want to and keep going and
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
very
Yeah,
cool.
I've been thinking about doing more vloggy style ones as well. So when I do like my dye updates and stuff, I have like dye diaries almost. I think that'd be quite a nice sort of addition alongside it.
Absolutely. And people, I think that it's enjoyable to see how that is created, your creative process and how it all goes down. So how
Yeah,
do you dye? Do you dye in your
yeah,
house? Like in
yeah,
the kitchen?
yeah. I dye in my tiny little kitchen. I kind of take up the entire space. So we've got one of those kitchen living room sort of things, and it literally just stretches out across everywhere. My partner comes home sometimes and he's like, "What is going on here? I can't sit down."
But that's fun though. You can see all the colors and everything. And
Yeah.
how do you get your inspiration for like what colors you're going to use? What like I don't know, how do you choose your colors or is it just whatever comes out that day?
Yeah, most of the time it is whatever comes out that day. So I'll have like a vague idea, like I want to do some sort of red tones or something like that. So I'll pull everything out. It sort of works with it or contrasts, and then I sort of test them out all on like mini schemes and things. I see what works and what I like about a certain color tone and what I don't, and then I'll try and transfer that into larger ones. And then sometimes I have, so we go out on walks quite a lot, and we um, take a lot of sort of landscape photos and foliage photos and stuff. I've been doing it for years, but I've just taken some of that and used it as inspiration sometimes. So sometimes you'll get like a really nice purple in like leaves and things like that, and I'll try and transfer that into yarn as well.
That I think that's a really fun idea to use a photograph as your inspiration and go from that. Very cool.
Mm.
So sounds kind of difficult, you know, when you're like mixing up the colors and but
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like, why isn't this working? Yeah.
plants. I don't know. I'm always talking about plants and herbalism and stuff, and I wanted to ask you if you have any favorite plants or any plants that come to mind that you have an affinity towards.
Yeah, I have always grown succulents and things. So my house has got, I think I've got about 80 odd or something ridiculous. Like they're all in like tiny little pots scattered across the house. Yeah, I had to like replant them all the other week as well, and it was a nightmare.
And how often do you water all of them? Because at
I,
succulents, it's a little bit less, right?
yeah, it's like once a week or even less than that, especially during like cold winter times. But
No, very nice.
nice and easy to take care of.
But that definitely brings a lot of joy to the home and to have like green all over and purples and everything. Succulents are really cool with all their
Yeah.
colors. Very, very nice.
Mm.
Yeah, that's good. And what about like, herbal infusions or teas, anything that you
Uh,
like?
yeah, I really love like fruit teas. So there's a local shop called Bird and Blend. I know there's quite a few podcasters that seem to drink from their teas as well. But
Bird,
they do. Yeah, they do one called the Bristol Breeze, which is like an apple and blackberry flavored one. It's so nice. So that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
And what's the company called?
Bird and Blend.
And Blend. Well, that's beautiful. And do you think that they do international shipping?
I think they probably do. I think
Nice.
they do. Yeah.
Question for you. Do you also do international shipping? Someone here
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've like literally just recently gone through and readjusted all of my pricing, and there is now free international shipping for, I think it's £60 and over orders. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So
Mm-hmm.
if anyone is here in Spain listening to this and wants to get in on some of your stuff, so you have a website and
Mm-hmm.
everything, so people can go to the website and check it all out. Maybe the monthly mystery sub club. I think that's really cool. I kind of want to join on that. Very nice. So tell me, what does an average day for you look like? I know you are working, you work as Woollen Wytch, but then you also have a part-time job, and so
Yeah, it's a lot of juggling. So my my day job actually starts at 3 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, my days usually start at waking up about 2 a.m., going off to work, doing my part-time hours there, and then coming home at about 10 in the morning, and then I start on the whole Woollen Wytch stuff then. Um, so I get a nice quiet day and house to myself with working on Woollen Wytch. A lot of that seems to be admin and working through website stuff and answering emails. But when there is a shop update coming, then I tend to spend like a few weeks working and dyeing and trying to work out new colors and new stitch marker designs and things like that.
very cool. Very nice. Wow. So waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go into
Yeah.
work,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds really rough. But I
Yeah.
mean, as humans, we get used to anything, right?
Yeah, needs must. Got to pay the bills somehow. Like.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your stitch markers. So do you actually like how can you do you have any examples there? Can you show us some?
Yeah. So.
Or I could also put in some.
Yeah. So if I can get it to focus.
Very cool.
So that's just one of the designs.
I love that.
And I sketch out a little thing in my sketchbook, and then I transfer that onto my iPad or onto Photoshop, and then I'll redraw it on the computer, and then I send it off to my laser cutters, and they will print it and cut it out for me onto wood. And then I get it back, and then I compile it into a stitch marker.
Love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen stitch markers like that. When I saw yours, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone doing anything similar to that either, so it's quite nice.
Love that you're sketching it and that those are your own designs and your own drawings.
Yeah. So my whole background was illustration, so it's kind of nice to bring that in with Woollen Wytch as well. To be honest, I don't want to like lose that part of me and my history from that.
Absolutely. And you said that before you were doing like stickers, so you had a business where you were making stickers like similar to this, like
Yeah, so I I used to do a lot of like anime conventions and stuff. So like all the comics and stuff, I used to draw comics and do stickers and notepads and all of that sort of stuff, and like badges and things. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, but there was still a part of me that wasn't quite happy with what I was doing. So I kind of moved off and experimented with other things.
yeah, but I love that. I feel like this is a perfect example of how in life sometimes like different things that we do like compile on top of each other and now look where you are making like these beautiful
Yeah.
things to share with the knitting community and the crafting
Yeah, I
world.
think you kind of have to just follow your joy. And I think once I found that it wasn't quite sitting right with me, and I felt a lot of stress with always pumping out designs for illustration and stuff. There's quite a high turnover with things, and I just wasn't sitting right, and so I picked up knitting just as a hobby outside of that, basically, and then that's become my sort of passion now.
I love it. Very nice. And with knitting, do you have any like dream projects in the future? Like, is there any technique you'd like to try or anything that you have in the horizon as a dream goal?
I'd love to write my own designs. I think that's something that I would very slowly like to get into. But I've had this like thought about doing like a shawl pattern and stuff recently, so I'd really love to like try and take that one forward. Just got to work out what I'm supposed to be doing with it.
And that would probably be really beautiful to incorporate into your mixed mystery boxes. You know, it could be with the pattern with your.
Yeah, that's true.
That's awesome. Very nice. And is there any technique that you kind of don't like doing, or is there any part of knitting that you're like, oh, if you see that in a pattern and you're like, I don't like that? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at the moment. I mean, like, color work is still really new to me. So last time I done it, I like had the floats really tight on certain parts and really loose on others. So if I see that in a pattern, I get a bit like, oh God, oh no, it's all gonna go wrong. But I think in general, I'm not like, oh, I don't know.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think that getting the floats loose is very difficult. I mean, I've definitely made like socks before that I can't get over my foot because of the color work. And it's just like, okay, forget about that.
Yeah.
And what kind of knitter are you? Are you a thrower or continental or a picker or?
Is it British? I think that's the English style, the thrower, I think.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, I throw it around, yeah.
And that's the way I knit, or that's the way I learned to knit. But then through color work, I learned how to use the other hand, because with color work, I wanted to be able to use like both hands when doing it. So like, I don't even know what I did, but it's a good way. Good way. I think I like pick and throw at the same time. Yeah. So like pick and then like throw with the other color. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't get my head around continental and using my other hand with it, which is really odd because for most of my life I've been like heavily left-handed, and so with knitting I've had to like learn to use my right hand more. Okay. And now like continental knitting is like going backwards again. I can't quite get my head around it.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So you're a lefty predominantly.
Yeah.
But you knit with your right hand. Interesting. There's actually a podcast that I watch from the States that's called A Lefty Knitter Podcast. And I'm pretty sure that she does like tutorials on how to knit with your left hand.
Oh, I might have to look at those ones.
That's over to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And who taught you how to knit? Did you learn yourself, or did you like YouTube or class?
So yeah, when I was younger, my nan tried to teach me to knit, but I was such a left-handed person. She really struggled, and she'd basically just call me cack-handed and just gave up. So that was the end of that story until a few years ago. I picked up a project. I think it was by Wool and the Gang. Just one of those little bags, like kits. And I was on holiday at the time, and I took it back to the hotel room, and then I just sat there and tried it and really enjoyed it. So I picked it back up again, and it's gone fine so far, I think.
And what is do you have any project that you are like most proud of, or that you most love out of all the things that you've made over the years?
Yeah, I think it's probably the one and only sweater that I've finished so far. And it was a cropped cable knit sweater in like super chunky yarn. I think it was by Lauren Aston. And I'd never knitted a jumper before. I'd never done cables. And so why I picked this project, I don't know, but I went with it. And it worked out really well. I finished it just before my 30th birthday last year, and so that was like a goal in and of itself to like finish it. But yeah, and like it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit me, but I finished it and it looks okay. So I'm quite proud of it, yeah.
But it doesn't fit you because it's too big, too small?
Too small, too small. So I might have to give it to my sister at some point when I can sort of, she can pry it from my hands, but
Or maybe you could do some kind of surgery, like if you like steeked it down the sides.
I think I could probably just frog back just a little bit and just knit a few more and try and fit it, but
Ah.
yeah.
And how do you like cables? I love cables. I think that they're really fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them. I was confused completely and had to like frog so many times to fix them. But once I got into the rhythm and the swing of it, I really enjoyed them. Yeah.
Nice. Are you one to use lifelines? Like to
Yep.
put.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way now.
Yeah. No, I kind of repeat the same mistake all the time because I'm like, no lifelines, but I think that they're very useful.
No, I know what I'm doing this time. I'll be fine. And then same mistake. You're like, oh, okay, maybe not.
Especially with like cables and lace and things like that. I definitely think it's important.
Yep.
Very nice. And so tell me, like, if I were in your space, like working and dyeing and everything, or knitting, what do you listen to music? Do you listen to podcasts? What's going on around you when you're working and knitting?
Yeah. It depends on what I'm doing. So I if I'm doing stuff like on my computer and just doing general admin stuff, then I can't listen to music. I have to put on like nature sounds or like forest leaves like through the wind and stuff. I just find it really hard to concentrate otherwise. But otherwise, if it's just getting on with like dyeing and things, then I tend to put on whatever I'm feeling at the time. So it's usually like ska or some sort of punk band or something on. Like,
Very nice. Had you been going to concerts and stuff in the past couple of years before the world totally changed?
before the world changed, yes, yeah. I try to go sort of fairly regularly, at least to like the local ones anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, there in Bristol, you probably have some cool places like venues for concerts.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's one that's in like a cavern. It's like underneath a pub. There's like tunnels and stuff, and yeah, there's a few different places.
Very cool. Very cool. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to those soon because I also miss
Yeah.
live music and everything. Very nice. So another question I like to ask people is if there's anyone who is inspiring you lately. It doesn't have to be in the fiber world, but just some person you might like to recommend to us, or any suggestion, podcaster or author or creative.
I mean, I'd be a little bit remiss if I didn't mention Kat from Heather and Hops. I mean, she's how we met. Like, yeah. But I think otherwise it's there's a few different artists and stuff locally. There's a friend of mine called Sky Suki, and she does these beautiful, beautiful, like textured, nature-inspired paintings, and just the colors that she brings through her paintings are just so pretty, and like the vibe across from her work and things is beautiful.
Very nice. And is her work available like on social media somewhere or on the website?
Yeah, it's literally Sky Suki on Instagram, and I think her website is as well.
Very cool. So I will leave that information down below. And that's awesome. Always we want to like support friends and local people and new people who are doing stuff. Very nice. Very nice. And also I have these like 10 little questions that I'm going to ask you. They're like really quick. This is inspired by those Christy Glass interviews, which actually she doesn't do this anymore with her interview people. But I have a list here of 2 words, like 2 different words, and I'm going to say them, and you tell me which one you prefer.
Right, okay.
Okay. All right. So knit or crochet?
Knit.
Okay. Spin or weave?
Spin.
Okay. Alpaca or cashmere?
Alpaca.
Alpaca. I like alpaca. Speckles or solids?
Oh, speckles.
Very nice. Yes. Shawl or cowl?
Shawl, I think.
Okay. Very nice. Brioche or color work?
Color work, I think.
All right. Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Very nice. Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Mountains. Moon or sun?
Moon.
Oh,
Easy.
autumn or spring?
Autumn.
Very nice. And your favorite place to knit in public when we can do that one day?
Oh, I don't know. Probably just out in the park, enjoying a bit of sun.
A little bit of sunshine, vitamin D, some fresh air.
Yep.
Very nice. Very cool. Awesome. Okay. I don't know if there is anything else you want to tell us about what's going on with Woollen Wytch, anything, well, where we can find you online, or I don't know, anything else? What we can expect to see from you in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dimmy from the Discord group and I, so Two Gnome Knits, have been working together for a new sock kit for her new pattern, the Phoenix feathers. So we've got that coming out in March, so this month. So that's pretty exciting for both of us, I think.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So you have the yarn for that, and she has the pattern.
Yeah. So through the month of March as well, if you buy the kit through me, you also get the pattern for free as well. So Dimmy has very kindly given away the pattern with that one.
Very cool. And they're really cool socks. I think I've seen them.
Yeah.
Say them. I was looking because I was like, that colorway.
So
wow.
That one. And the kit, this is the kit. So you'll get contrasting heels and toes, and then the red for that one.
Nice. And what kind of yarn is that? So that's a 4-ply sock yarn.
So it's a sock 4-ply. So it's a merino nylon blend.
Perfect. I love that. Okay, so I'll leave Jimmy's information also down below so that people can check out that pattern. And anything else in the future?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No, just new colorways, new project bags are coming out, and I think that's probably about it.
Project bags too.
Yeah.
Exciting. I love project bags. Love having all my projects, all my whips, all my many whips.
All in separate bags. Yeah.
Yes, and I love when they're like coordinated, you know, with your project. You're like, this one goes well with this one.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me, and I really appreciate
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Fun, and yeah, maybe we could do this again in the future and talk about what else is new with Woollen Wytch, and yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Oh.